Hi everyone, it's Dina here. Today I thought I'd do a quick demo on using the lovely Andy Skinner Princess Attitude stamp. I really love this. Well, I love most of the stamps actually in this collection, but yeah, I think she's quite a grumpy fairy, this one. But I'm going to try and see if I can do two cards at the same time. Because what I'd like to try and do is remove her wings on this and show that she, you haven't necessarily got to use the entire stamp for this project. I think she'll look quite nice without her wings. She just looks like a grumpy birthday girl. But yeah, so I'd like to try and do that. Now I did make a card similar to this, which I haven't actually posted a photo of just yet. I did make it for somebody in our craft club, so I'm going to do another one more or less the same, but I said I'm going to do that one and then another one hopefully without her wings. I'm sort of going to try and do the two alongside each other. Don't know if that will work, and I might not finish both of them just because it might take too long. I'll see how it goes. Right, now I'm going to start by just saying here I've stamped the girl out, or the fairy, on some masking sheet here. This stuff is great if you want to just stamp direct onto your card and then create a background. I'm not sure what make it is, and I've actually had mine for a very long time, so it's probably not as, I think it's sort of lost its stickiness a little bit. But I do really recommend these if you're doing sort of something that's quite a large image that you want to mask off. You can use masking fluid, drawing gum or whatever, because it's quite a large surface area. Today I'm using a masking sheet. Now all I've done is just stamp it on, cut it out. You'll notice that I have actually cut out some of her straggly bits. I've snipped them off, some of the straggly bits of her hair, just because you don't need to worry too much about those. And also her shoelaces I've snipped off. Now what I will say is, when you snip this out, try to snip it on the actual line. Try not to sort of waver out of the line, just because if you do, when you're creating your background, you'll end up with like a halo around your image where the background hasn't met the line of the stamped image. I don't know if that makes sense. It will probably make more sense as I'm doing it, but just try and stay sort of within the lines when you're cutting this out. I said it will probably make sense as I'm kind of playing around with it. Right, so I have my Princess Attitude here already. Now I'm going to stamp her out whole to start with. So I'm just using black VersaFine Clear ink here. Now I have actually snipped some of the edging off of mine, just because I found that sometimes it was catching on the card, which I didn't really want. Now I'm going to stamp it up a little bit just so that it's got some room at the bottom. I do want to stamp it. I'm used to stamping sort of sideways, but I will do it that way just so that I can see how much room I've got at the bottom. Right, so I think we'll go about there. I'm just going to use my little stamping tool. This is like, it looks like a little air hockey puck thing. But yeah, I use this a lot when stamping. I think they're such a handy little tool to have. Right, hopefully that's stamped okay. Right, and now I'm going to emboss this, so I'm just going to grab my piece of paper here. and some Wow Ultra Fine Clear Embossing Powder. So I'm embossing this just because I'm going to be using alcohol markers to colour it in, and obviously some of the inks and stuff can bleed, so it's better to emboss it if you can. Right, let's pop that out of the way and then I'll heat this up. There we go, that's done. So now I'm going to pop that to the side and I'm now going to clean my stamp here. So I'm just cleaning it with some water and a rag. Now I want this nice and dry, so I am going to spend quite a bit of time here cleaning and drying it off, just because I am going to go in and stamp her again, but this time without her wings. So obviously I don't want any excess ink, you know, messing her wings up. And what I'm actually going to do is stamp her on some paper just a few times, just to make sure, you know, there's no ink there. It's fine, there isn't. Right, now I'm going to grab some masking tape. Now this is going to be a bit fiddly, because you do really want to sort of, you know, cover those wings up as much as you can and sort of get as close as you can to the line of her, sort of the outside line of her image. I'm just going to pop that there because it's going to be easier for me to work out what's part of the part of her wings and top and stuff. So I'm gonna tear that off. Actually, no, I can't tear that. This masking tape's obviously quite strong. So as I said, I'm just going to do that. I'm not going to use that whole piece, actually. It's a bit of a waste, so I mean, use a few pieces. What I would say is actually have a bit of excess that you can use to pull it off. Right, I'm just holding it up just so I can see for myself. I'm just pulling a little bit back because it's covering her arm up there. So as I said, this bit is a bit fiddly, but it does work quite well. I'm now going to do her other side. I'm just getting rid of that masking tape stuck to my finger. Right, we'll go about there, I think. Yeah, I'm just going to cover that top piece up. So again, just make sure you're sort of covering as much as you can of that wing, and just pull bits back if you need to. I'm just trying to make out what bit's her top and right. I think we'll leave it at that, and let's just hope that I've covered most of it. Right, so now just ink up as you would normally. And just make sure that around where that masking tape is, that her arms, you know, that edge piece is nicely covered, because sometimes you can block it out when there's not block it out, like when there's a raised area it doesn't quite cover too well. So I'm just checking to make sure that's okay, which hopefully it is. Right, now I'm using this bit, and I'm not just going to pull it up, I'm pulling it back on itself as much as possible, because I don't want to lift that stamp up. Right, and get rid of that. Now that line is a little bit thick where her arm is, so what I'm going to do is just go in a tiny bit and wipe off. And then I think we'll make do on that other side. Right, and then I'm just going to stamp it down, and I really hope this works because I haven't actually tried it out before. Got a bit of fluff there, get rid of that. So again, I'm leaving space at the bottom for the sentiment, and using my little stamp tool. I really hope this works because I haven't actually tried it out. This is the first time I've done this, but I've been wanting to do this with this image, so, you know, ever since I first got it. Right, and there we go. So it's stamped without the wings. I don't know if you can see that. There is a very faint line there actually where I'd stamped it before, and obviously hadn't dried it off properly, even though I did stamp it out. So just be very mindful of that, and when you're embossing it, just make sure that none of that embossing powder sticks to that area. Luckily, because of the background that we're going to do, you're not really going to see that anyway, so it doesn't matter. So I said I'm just using WOW embossing powder, and then what I'm going to do is grab a dry brush. Let's go for that one, and I'm just going to make sure that there's no powder in that area where her wing is, and then again on this side. Let's get rid of this powder. And I'm now going to emboss, heat emboss her. I obviously had some areas there where I've got some ink on her, but I said luckily because of the background I'm not too worried about little marks like that. So there's the two images there. I said I'm going to try and hopefully, I'm going to more or less colour these sort of the same, just for quickness and everything. And I'm going to do the backgrounds and everything the same on these. Right, now I'm going to use, today I'm going to be using Distress inks. I did want to use my Lavinia inks, but I don't quite have the colours that I want yet in those. So I'm going to use some antique linen. I might just tear this bit of paper up actually to use as a mask. So, oh, I want to put my mask on first, don't I? Let's do, what I might have to do actually is one at a time, because I'm going to have to snip the wings off. I think rather than do it, stamp it again, I'm just going to snip the wings off of this one so that I can use it on both. So just carefully pull it off the little acetate piece. And then you want to stick her down over the top. Now again, the lining up is quite important on this step, just because, as I said, you don't really want a halo around her when you create the background. So I'm just trying to really carefully stick this down so that it's within the lines. I think hopefully is about there. No, I kind of feel like it's over that way, that side, a bit too much. So it can be a bit fiddly, this, but it is great because you can make some fabulous backgrounds. Right, that'll do. I'll go with that for now. Right, so I'm using antique linen here, and I'm going to pop a piece of paper under her feet here. Hopefully I'm in shot. I always worry when I do recordings here that I'm not. Now I'm not going to go right to the edge of the card in this. I'm just sort of coming out just a little way. I want a bit of a white edge around her. So we're going to go for a bit of a brick effect, I think, behind her, brick wall effect. I'm going for this lighter colour first. So again, I don't really want to go right to the edge at that top. I'm going to stay just inside. Stuck mine down properly. I said I think I've had mine for, well, I've lost count how many years I've had that. So I think when I did buy it last, I bought quite a lot of bulk sheets, and obviously over the years I've been using it, but I still have some left. I'm sure I bought it even probably before COVID, so I had it quite a while. Right, I think we'll stop there with that, and then I'm going to grab my brick stencil. So this is the Lavinia brick stencil. I love this stencil because it's such a lovely, huge stencil. It's great. And then I prefer to work sideways, but sometimes you just have to work. It's easier to line up. Right. Sorry, I'm just trying to line the paper and everything up with it. So let's check that top. I think we'll go for about there. Now for this, I'm actually going to be using aged mahogany. I wanted to go for a sort of a reddish brick for this, just because she's going to be a slightly red theme when I colour her in. Move that out of the way because I'm going to end up with my sleeve in it. So again, I'm not going to go right to the edge. I want to leave a little bit of white around the edge. I mean, if you wanted to, you could colour the whole thing, but said I'm not going to. I think we'll sort of stop there with that one. Oh, look, I did hit the top edge there. Right, now what I'm going to do, oh, I might just do the bottom while she still has her mask on, because the shoes are there, aren't they? Cover that up, and I've got weathered wood here. And you can just go in and do that bottom. So I'm covering the top half up here, just so I don't get any ink on the over the brickwork. Now I'd like it sort of darker underneath where her feet are, so she's like, there's a bit of shadow in there. And then I'm just bringing that ink down. Right, I think we'll leave the background there on that one. Now what you could do is stamp another one of these out. There we go. So you can see that's, you know, she's now she's perfect colour. She's, you know, we've done that complete background, and she's left white, which is great. It's exactly what we want. Now to do this one, I said you could either snip the wings off, which I'm going to do here, or you could stamp another one out. Probably if you are going to use it a lot, I'd recommend stamping another one out. But because I'm doing a video here, I'm just going to snip them off. And I'll probably still use these. I'm going to keep them and use it another time, because it doesn't really matter if they are separate, to be honest. You can just, you know, it's like masking tape basically, so you can just stick them back on. I think I've cut them out about in the right place. So what I'm going to do, where's my packet gone? Not sure where the packet is. Oh, it's there. So for my packet that the stamp is actually on, I'm just going to stick this on the acetate, just so that it's there for next time. You know, just because you've used it once, do not throw it away. You can use it over and over again. So, and again, I'm just going to stick it on, making sure that it's not going over those lines, and that it's all lined up nicely. Right, hopefully that's about right there. And I'm just going to do exactly the same thing again. Now I'm going to get my paper and cover that bottom section up. And again, just go in with that antique linen. And do the main background. I think I really love being able to mask things off, because it does mean that, you know, you haven't got to, because I suppose the only other way of doing it would be to stamp it, cut it out, and then stick it down. You haven't got to do all that. Plus, when you're posting cards now, let's face it, it costs quite a lot. So, you know, the postage and everything costs quite a bit. So it's quite good if you can just keep things sort of a one-layered card, rather than sort of loads of layers and things on it, especially if you're like already going to mat and layer it. So you might want to layer this onto a piece of black card before sticking it down. All that puts the weight up, you know, increases the weight, so it puts the postage up. So I think being able to mask images off, it's great, because you can sort of create so many layers and things with them. You know, you can, if you've got like flowers and things and you want to stamp sort of several flowers, you can stamp them, mask them, and just keep stamping. So there's so many different layers and things. it's great stuff. Right, I don't know why I've got rid of that bit of paper. And I think I might have had some extra embossing powder there that I haven't got rid of, because I have got a bit of a halo around her, which is really annoying. I might maybe darken that in a little while, just so it doesn't stand out so much. Right, and again, just line up that stencil and grab that aged mahogany again. So you could do brown brick if you really wanted. I said I've gone for like a reddish tone for this, just because I'm going to be colouring her in sort of red, yellows and oranges, I think. And again, I'm making sure that I'm not trying not to go right to the edge anyway. You can if you want, but for this I'm just, you know, staying to the centerpiece more. Right, and then we'll do the ground. So let's come back in with that grey. And again, I want it quite dark where she's sort of standing, and then sort of fade that colour out a little bit towards the bottom. I'm trying to come down a little bit because the text is going to be, you know, the sentiment's going to be there. So I'd like a little bit of colour where the sentiment's going to be. Right, so there we have another background. And then I'm just going to carefully peel that off, and again you're left with that lovely white image still. And again, I'm just going to stick this onto my acetate where I store the stamp, and that can be used next time I want to create a background. Right, now I'm just going to pull out some alcohol markers, if I can find the ones I want. Sorry, it might take me a minute to find the colours here. What colour is that? Get there in a minute. And I think we'll go for some, as I said, some like orangey tones and some reds. And yellow. I should have a nice sunflower yellow there. What else do we want? Some brown, I think. Oh, and blues. Now I've got to try and remember what blue it was that I used before on her jeans. I should have really prepared a little bit here, shouldn't I? And got the colours out beforehand, but never mind. So I will tell you what colours I'm using as I go. So I'm using Pro markers here. So I don't know if I had, no, I've got it out. Right, so I've got blush here. Actually, what I'm going to do is use some Pale Pink. First of all, sort of just to add you know, you sort of want to add a little bit of dimension. So I'm just going to go around the side of her face a bit. I will also do her cheeks, but I'll probably do that afterwards. I'm going to colour sort of both images together. It is going to probably take me a little bit longer, which I do apologise, but as it is, we've started both both images. I might as well try to finish them off. Yes, we've got blush here, so I'm just using that. Actually, I'm sure I used to use a lighter colour for her skin. I'm just going to check to see what colours I've got here. What one's that? No. Sorry, it's taken me a little while. No, it must be that one. No, I'm pretty sure it is this one then. So I've got my neighbour's dogs barking in the background, so I do apologise if you can hear that. So I'm just trying to blend that pink now in to this lighter colour. And she is quite a nice, quick and easy image to colour in, luckily. Sorry, I'm just trying to really blend them colours in together because I don't really want them sort of too streaky. And again on this one. Obviously, you could actually colour it with anything you know, anything you like. You could go in with pencils. You could watercolour it. You know, you just got to use whatever medium you like or you prefer. Just making sure that they're all nice and blended in. Now, what I'm going to do is go back in with this. Sorry, that was blush that I've just used, and I'm going to go back in with the pale pink and just colour her lips. And darken her cheeks a little. Right. And then let's colour her jeans in. So I'm going in with a darker. I always like to sort of use two colourways, just because I think it adds dimension to whatever you're doing. So I'm using Midnight Blue here. And I'm just sort of going around. I don't want to use too much of the blue, but just sort of, I'm just adding it to those where, you know, the darker areas where those creases are, and sort of around the edge. And I think I'm just trying to work out, I think that bit is part of her jeans there. And again, I'm doing it on this one. And then I'm going to go in with a lighter blue, which is Denim Blue. And just colour that in. You know, colour the rest of it in. And blend the colours together. I missed a bit there. Right, that's her shorts coloured in. I don't know whether to do her socks blue. No, I think I'll do them maybe a yellow colour. Right, her hair, I'm going to go in with some sandstone. So I'm just going to colour her whole hair in sandstone. I think sandstone and cocoa are my go-to colours for hair. I don't know why. I just prefer doing all brown hair for them, for, you know, people images. And again, just adding in a few darker tones there. Just holding it up so that I can see, because it's sort of reflecting a little bit. Now on that one I've come out a little bit, and I want to blend that in just a tiny bit, because there we go. It was a bit too dark, that area. Right, what should we go for next? I think maybe we'll do her top, I think. So I might go, actually I don't think I'm going to use quite such a bright orange. I've pulled out a bright orange, which I might use, just not at the moment. So again, I'm going to go in sort of darker tone first. Let's do it again on this one. Obviously, if you're just doing one card at a time, it probably won't take you as long to colour it in. But I am doing two together here, so... Actually, I'm just trying to work it out. Oh, her top is there, isn't it? I think she's got like a scarf tied round her waist. I don't know what that bit is. Colouring it in as her top anyway. And then sunflower. This is probably my most used yellow. So I'm just working that yellow into that orange to sort of blend the tones in a little bit. Let's do this one now. I think my pen might be running out. I do need to update a few of these. I've had them in my stash for quite some time now. And a few of them are starting to run low. Right, let's colour her socks in a yellow colour. I think I'm going to do her boots in red. sure that's what I did before. Right, I'm now going to use a red, so I'm using Poppy, should be Poppy, yep, on her bow. And then this little tie that's coming round her waist, I think it's like a scarf tie thing that she's got instead of a belt. And again on this one, just making sure I'm still recording this. I recorded a whole video or I thought I'd recorded a whole video and then realised that it stopped recording, which I was really annoyed about. Right, let's do her boots. Now for her boots, I'm going to do them two-toned, again just to add some shading. So I'm using crimson. I think we'll do the sole of the boot like a browny tone. And then I'm going to, oh, I didn't do the other image, did I? So we'll do it again on this side, on this one. And again with the Poppy. But I think I'm going to do the soles of her boots in brown. So this is Cocoa again, the same colour that I used on the hair. Right, now this one is actually more or less coloured. It's just the wings for this one now. So I think what I'm going to do is actually just colour the whole wing in yellow. Actually, I might leave some white, leave those white areas. Right, I've left the little dots on her wings white, and then what you can then do is go in and just add some more colour tones. So I'm going with orange first. We'll actually add some red, I think, on these. And then, oh, that's crimson. I wanted Poppy, really. So I'm just sort of sticking to the edges, really. Probably should have done this the other way around, actually, because I've now just covered up most of that orange. So I might go back in with the orange. Right, so I said I'm going to go back in with the orange, really, and blend that in. And then I will do the yellow again. I think originally I was going to colour it in a bit different, but that ended up not happening. Right, I might actually, because the pink hasn't shown up very well on her lips, I might try and just find another pink. Let's try that Dusky Rose. I think that would probably work. Yeah. Use a Dusky Rose on her lips. Right, that is more or less it. What I'm going to do on this one, because it was, I think I had some embossing powder slightly around that edge. I'm just going to grab a micron pen and sort of darken that line a little bit, just so it looks more like a, you know, her top. Do it again on this side, just to even it out, so it's a slightly thicker line around that edge where I'd missed some embossing powder. And it just covers up that, it just sort of hides that white line a little bit. Right, let's stamp the sentiment in place now. So I'm hoping, now again I did trim mine down just slightly, just so that I could stamp them both together really. Just lining that up on my block. Just trying to center it a little bit at least. What I might do is stamp that on my scrap card just to make sure that is actually straight before I stamp it straight onto my card. So I'm just stamping it. I don't know if I might be off camera there. I'm just lining up that block. Okay, that looks somewhat straight to me. So I'm now just going to ink it up again. So if you're not sure if it's straight, then just stamp it out first. Right, I'm going to move this down a bit just so I can see it. So it's quite hard, my camera's actually in the way. I think maybe we'll go about there and just hope it's straight. I said, because I need to sort of lean over it really to make sure, and the camera's in the way. There we go. And let's try again on this one. And I think we want it about there. Yep. Managed to stamp both sentiments relatively straight. It's a miracle. Right, now I'd like quite a distressed edge really on this. I'm just actually going to wipe my fingers just because I have a habit of getting ink on them somehow down the line and then putting an inky patch on the card, which I don't really want to do. Right, so what I'm going to do is just kind of grab my ink pad and I'm going to drag it down. Now I said I want quite a distressed, you know, rough look here, so if the ink pad comes in slightly, that's fine. I sort of want that. I have actually got some lovely stamps that were old Crafty Individuals one that I did use on my previous one. But you can no longer get them, so I'm trying to do it a little bit, you know, show you just how to create a bit of a rough distressed look. I'm just holding that against the other card just so I can see if I need to add any anymore. So again, I'm going to do the same on this and just sort of add that distressed look. So you can just bring it so that the ink pad is just touching slightly as you're coming into the card, just to give it that rough look. Plus this also saves you mounting it onto black. If you're doing a nice sort of dark edge. Right, as I said, I'm just holding it against the other one so that I could see. And then what you could do if you want to add a bit more sort of distressed edge look, grab that Micron pen and you could do a few sort of lines, dots, kind of, I don't know, just do some random funky doodles just to make it look a little bit sort of distressed really around the edge. Do some dots, random lines, whatever. Just to sort of, I'm going to put a sheet of white paper down actually, just because then you might be able to actually see what I'm doing. That's a little bit better, isn't it? So again, just anything really. Just want it looking sort of quite rough. I might actually get a thicker pen and add some more sort of thicker dots. I'm just doing some, literally just, it is really random. I'm not trying to be neat or anything. It's just be quite messy with it, I think sometimes you can try and make things look perfect, can't you, and getting it right, and it just never seems to look right. Mind you, I have done this sometimes, random doodles, and I've thought they looked really odd, but so just adding some random dots now to this last bit. It might be nice to even grab a thicker pen. I'm sure I've got a thicker one in here. Just grabbing my pen pot. So I've got a 12 micron pen here. And just adding in some larger, thicker, sort of splotchy dots. And, it doesn't matter too much if you come in a bit more with them. I'm just going for sort of a real distressed look. I'll just do 2 more edges. I probably won't do it on that one, just to save a bit of time really, because you sort of get where it's going. Right, I think I'll leave it at that. So yeah, there's the 2 finished cards. I said I will probably do a bit of a distressed edge around this, but yeah, so there's 2 different ways there of using that one image. You know, you can use it with or without the wings, as you can see on there. Just as I said, make sure if you are using it without the wings, just make sure your stamp is completely clean and dry. Obviously mine wasn't quite dry when I went in and stamped this, but you know, I'm not too worried. And I've just seen a little bit of ink that's not quite blended in, and it's really annoying me, so I'm just gonna go in with that pen. Right, so yeah, I said I will probably do a bit more distressed edge around here, but I'll do that sort of when I'm not recording. Now you could just mount them onto a 5x7 card blank and it's done. But yeah, I absolutely love that image. There's, I think, all the images in that collection, I haven't actually had a chance to play with many of the others just yet, but I'm hoping to very soon. I've just got a few things to get done before I start playing with them. But yeah, thank you for joining me, and I'm sure I'll be back again soon with a video. But yeah, take care everyone. Thanks for watching. Well, let's move it over. I didn't realise I was right out of shot there. But yeah, thank you for watching, and take care. Bye.